Anyone telling you the main thing you should eat is fish and red meat, run away. I'm no longer vegan, Why I'm Ex-Vegan for Now by Dr. Mona Vand, which is interesting considering the video I made about her a few years ago. This pharmacist teaches you how to fail on a vegan diet. She is a pharmacist. She's no longer practicing. And I was very concerned about the stuff she was promoting to people, what she was putting on her channel. Her What I Ate Today's were extremely low calorie. She also just promoted just nonsense pseudoscience diet stuff that's bad enough when anyone believes it and promotes it, but it's really bad when you have a seemingly educated person. She's not educated in nutrition, but it's close enough that you would think she would not fall for things like food combining. She has 2 videos going in depth on the so-called like science of food combining and detox, alkaline diets, stuff like that you would expect from like a 20-year-old who just learned about health from the celery guy or whatever. I don't want to say I'm not surprised she's no longer vegan, but it's not surprising if she really was eating that few calories, again, going by her What I Ate Today's, and eating a very restrictive diet, which often happens if you believe in food combining, right? You can only have fruit for breakfast and you can't eat starch and protein together. But maybe it has nothing to do with that. I haven't watched this video yet, so let's see.
I think the first thing I want to share is why I even went vegan in the first place, because obviously health journeys are so different for everyone.
I don't know if she was ever an ethical vegan. I mean, describing going vegan as a health journey makes me think no, but often, like me, I started vegan just for health and then eventually totally switched. I don't eat vegan for health. I think it can be a very healthy way to eat. Obviously, eating more fruits and vegetables, legumes and grains, nuts and seeds, all of that is very good for us, but I don't think you have to be 100% vegan to be healthy. And I don't remember watching anything from her about animals or animal ethics or anything like that.
My brother was having these heart palpitations and he was going to different doctors to figure out what it was, and all these cardiologists were telling him different things, and there was just one he went to that was like, you need to go vegan and lose 20 pounds.
Shame on that cardiologist. Jenny Messina, veganrd.com, she makes a really good argument saying, look, when we talk about diets, we can't just talk about nutrition. There are other outcomes that are really important, like the environment. How does our diet affect other people and animals? Taking that all into account, there's no question that a vegan diet is the best diet. But that's not really your job as a cardiologist to just tell someone, oh, you need to go vegan and this is going to fix your problem, if that's really what happened. Not cool, dude.
I remember being like, we need to support Nima. Like I told my parents and his ex at the time, like we should all go vegan so that when we're all eating dinner together, it's not fair and it's not hard for him. And that's actually what made me do the initial jump to going vegan.
I have to say that is really, really sweet and good for her for doing that. Not many people would do that. She seems like a really kind person.
My brother didn't even stay vegan. I'm actually the only one who stuck with it. So I was just doing it out of support, but then he stopped and I stayed because I liked it. And then I just kind of embraced and thrived in that lifestyle because I love vegan food. I think it's so fun and creative.
So again, it's not really about ethics at all. It's just she liked eating the diet and it's healthy.
And I start working out with this trainer in LA, and I love LA for so many reasons, but there's also a lot of negativity that comes with that Hollywood culture. And at the time, big butts were just a thing.
Still are.
And I have a very small frame, so I was like, how do I get a bigger butt? I was trying and nothing was working. So my trainer at the time was like, you need to gain weight. Like you need to gain like 10 to 20 pounds. And he had me on this whole like bulk and shred thing. Honestly, looking back, I would have never done this.
Someone asked me on a stream if I ever get offended. I'm offended. That is so irresponsible. For those who don't know, bulking and cutting just means you go through a phase of bulking where you eat more, you work on gaining muscle and strength, but the emphasis is on muscle by obviously working out and lifting heavy weights, progressive overload, and you eat more calories than you burn in order to put on more muscle. And it's a fine-tuned thing, right? Because if you eat too much, you're going to gain a lot of fat, which is not the goal. You want to put on predominantly muscle. You want to limit the amount of fat you put on. Once you're done with that, you move on to cutting, which is the the worst part, right? That's when you eat less calories than you burn and you try to remove some of the fat that you gained. And the people who do this, it's not just a one-time thing. Typically, you do it again and again and again. You bulk and you cut, you take a break, you bulk and you cut, you take a break. It's a very advanced technique. Anyone who actually does this will tell you it is very advanced. It is not for someone like her who just wants to make her butt a little bit bigger. What? The reason I say it's so irresponsible, not only does it put you in this mindset where you really have to pay attention to every little thing that you eat, which can be not great for some people who maybe are prone to eating disorders, but also it can make you put on more weight than you would like, because not everyone who bulks is able to successfully cut. Sometimes you bulk and your body really likes you eating those extra calories, and it just becomes so hard to get back to just your normal weight, the weight you were at before you ever bulked.
We did like bulk and shred. That was the plan. Gain the weight and then you can shred and you lose the fat but keep the muscle.
No, you don't lose the fat but keep the muscle. Again, like, you're gonna lose some of the fat, but you're also gonna lose some of the muscle. Again, it's a really hard fine-tuned thing. You have to pay so much attention to not only what you eat, but measuring your body. Like, oh God, don't just listen to a trainer just because they're a trainer and they took, a couple months reading through an NASM book and then took their stupid test. Like, it's virtually meaningless. You have so many douchebags, like whoever that guy was, just, oh God. Sorry, I need to calm down.
So I'm eating everything in sight, like rice, quinoa, French fries, fried tofu, almond butter, cashew butter, anything that I felt like had really good density that would help me gain weight. And I don't know if it's because I wasn't used to eating such heavy food and like really to a point where I was like getting uncomfortable, and I was so laser focused on this body goal, which is a whole other topic in itself about how certain cultures can influence you. And I just think it was, looking back, I feel bad for that version of myself who felt like I had to do that. Anyway, then I lose the weight when it's like shredding time.
And if it's not clear, bulking and cutting has nothing to do with health. It's all about body composition and getting the look that you want, which is fine. Some people really enjoy doing that. They really enjoy the amount of control they can have and the look that they get, and that's totally fine. But most of us, that's hell. Like, why would you ever do that? The end result is not worth all the work you have to put into that, right? And for her, having to eat all this food to the point where she's feeling uncomfortable, it's just, no.
First of all, my butt didn't really change. Just have to throw that out there. Maybe it works for other people. It didn't really work for me. But then I noticed my stomach area was still like bigger, and I didn't even realize it was bloat. I thought it was fat.
Now she's very, very small. You can see that I stopped on there. So I don't know how long she did this for. Again, you need to do progressive overload. You can't just do squats every day and expect to get results. You need to be doing pretty heavy weights in the gym and certain movements. I mean, a lot of women have talked about just doing squats predominantly and not really having the results they want in their glutes. I had that myself years ago when I had a squat rack and I was doing heavy deadlifting to the point where my hands were the issue. I couldn't hold the weight anymore with my hands. And my butt got bigger, but my quads got way bigger, and it's not a look that I was fond of. Point is, it takes a long time for someone like her with a small frame to get a bigger butt, and she's never gonna have, like a Beyonce, right? Like, it's never gonna end up like that. And a lot of these girls you see on Instagram, it's surgically altered, which is fine unless they lie about it. Point is, even with the right kind of work and diligence, it would still take a long time for her to see results and to actually end up with a big butt, if she could ever get that in the first place. And a lot of it is not the butt, it's the hips, right? Which you can't change without surgery.
I tend to gain weight in my stomach first. Like, everyone has an area of their body where they hold their weight. Mine's right here. So I'm like going to these doctors and I'm like, why am I not losing weight here? And then they were like, that's not fat, that's distension. Like, that's really like that's, and I'm like, oh, this is bloating. Since then, it's been about 3.5 or 4 years where I've been on this gut health journey trying to heal my gut. And I don't know if it's because I threw everything off in that time. I don't know if it was like a slow run with being vegan and maybe something got thrown off. I don't know if stress at the same time, because, there's a lot of stress and anxiety I've dealt with since then. So who knows what caused it, but I started seeing all these different gastros, and at first went to the go on antibiotics.
So obviously I don't know all the specifics, but if it was really, oh, you're bloated, here are antibiotics, shame on that doctor. We already overprescribe antibiotics, and man, this is going to come back to bite us.
The amount of diets and elimination diets I've done, there was just one that I did that I'll pop up as I edit this video. It was literally a powder that I drank, like a powder shake that I'd mix with water. You'd have like 8 a day for 14 days.
So the elemental diet is a thing that doctors recommend for certain conditions. I don't know if her doctor recommended this or she just bought something on her own, which you can do. You don't have to get a prescription for something like this, but it is sometimes recommended for issues that can cause bloating, right? IBS, celiac disease, colitis.
I think being in this space too, it's a really frustrating thing where I'm like, I know all the right things to do. Why isn't this working? I'm so healthy. It was hard.
I mean, she doesn't know everything about health. Again, food combining.
The protein doesn't get digested, the starch doesn't get digested. It starts to putrefy in your stomach, which basically means rot. And then it just ends up causing, a bacteria environment. This is where more yeast and fungus and bacteria can grow. This makes the whole environment more acidic, and this can lead to lead to toxins and cancer. And, lead you to get bloated.
Which is interesting that she's struggling with the bloating from the bulking and cutting and then promoting food combining. The big, supposed benefit of food combining is improved digestion, and you don't end up with bloating. So that should have fixed it. Right? But yeah, I don't know if the elemental diet helped her or any of the things helped her. She doesn't really say. It sounds like she just kind of does something and then tries something else, which is not uncommon for things like this. It's really hard to get a grasp on, did someone actually do this for the period they're supposed to do it? Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that they're lying or they're flighty or anything like this. It's really hard when you're dealing with a health issue, particularly if you're desperate. It's hard not to try all the different things. And not even that. I mean, we can look at something lighter, I guess, like skincare, right? Even for someone like me who doesn't have any skin issues, if I go on Sephora and I see oh, this vitamin C serum's on sale, and oh, this retinol, and the niacinamide. It's hard not to be ooh, I want to get all these things and take all these things, even though I know don't do that. I get why that happens, but I feel like a lot of people get the impression, even though I don't think she's gonna say that, veganism is bad for you or anything, but I think a lot of people walk away from this with that impression because it sounds like, wow, she really tried everything and nothing worked. Did she though?
So after going to different doctors, I ended up seeing functional medicine doctors. And I think it's interesting how we want the easy route first, Western medicine, just give me the pill. Then usually the more spiritual, holistic, natural route is kind of your last attempt.
That elemental diet is not the easy route. That is a really, really hard thing to do. Even though it's just 14 days, that sucks. You're not eating anything else. You're just drinking this liquid. It sucks. But again, I don't know if that was prescribed or not. This is the lie that the functional medicine, naturopath, chiropractors will tell you, that all doctors, they just want to treat the symptoms and not the cause. That is absolutely not true. Again, it's very nuanced. In some cases, yeah, right? In a lot of cases, you go to a doctor with back pain, they're going to give you steroid shots. Is that the answer? Probably not. But if you look at something like diabetes, yes, of course, they're going to prescribe insulin, but often they're going to say, hey, try and lose some weight, improve your lifestyle as well, right? It's not just about treating the symptoms. But this is how they suck people in, right? They have to present doctors as not really caring or just wanting to do a quick fix, and to show you as kind of lazy for going to doctors, whereas now you're coming to the people who actually care, which shows that you really want to put in the work, right? It's so shit. And I'm pretty sure I know who this functional medicine doctor is. I saw a little clip from this video on her Instagram, and I just scrolled down and I saw Dr. Will Cole. If that name sounds familiar, it might be because I just did a video on Yoga Girl, and that's the doctor she worked with. He is your typical naturopath or chiropractor, one of those. He's gotten popular because of Goop. Thanks, Gwyneth. He's anti-vax, and he's just encouraging all of these vegans to give up veganism. Cool.
It may have been a combination of what caused everything, but as I was going to different doctors, they were all basically you need to eliminate so much fiber, you need to eliminate legumes, you need to eliminate raw fruit. there was just nothing left for me to eat.
So I'm assuming by doctors, she means functional medicine doctors, because I can't imagine an actual MD telling you not to eat raw fruit or really instructing anything like this. Because as I've talked about with these sorts of gut issues, something like IBS, it varies from person to person. Unfortunately, there's no, here's what you do and it'll solve your problems. Some people do really well on eating a diet with higher fiber. Some people do well on a diet with higher fiber, but soluble fiber, not insoluble fiber. So yeah, hearing that, oh, do this, don't do that, it definitely sounds like a functional medicine doctor.
And at first it was just like, let me add a little bit of fish. Okay, let me add in a little bit of red meat because my iron was so low and, thyroid was off.
I'm not at all surprised her iron was low. Again, what I ate today's I looked at were so low in calories and had virtually no iron.
I started out with just fish, and then I started adding in red meat, and then it was even like more elimination. That almost had to become the main thing that I ate, because when you really look into like what irritates the gut, what does it? And look, I also want to say, I know there are so many differing opinions on this.
Anyone telling you the only thing or the main thing you should eat is fish and red meat, run away. That is not evidence-based. I don't care what condition you have.
I have gone through so many different diet types. I've tried low FODMAP, I've tried Candida, I've tried keto, and I'm still on this journey.
This is one of the things that these channels just aggravate me so much. They say one thing and do another thing, or say another thing. She says, oh, it's all different. We're all on a different journey, all that kind of stuff. But then again, she has these videos where she's like food combining 101 and talking about it like everyone needs to practice food combining.
It starts to putrefy in your stomach, which basically means rots.
So which one is it? Do we all eat differently, or are there specific rules we need to follow? It's very confusing. And if she doesn't believe that anymore, then maybe remove it from her channel. I mean, maybe she has. I haven't checked. Yeah, it's still there. Food combining basics, food combining with food ideas. Yeah.
The judgment that I, worried about in terms of not even just social media, because obviously this is something I'm just starting to really share right now, but social settings. And I think it taught me a bigger issue in terms of labeling yourself with really anything, but like this diet type where you're like, I'm vegan. You're human. Like, you are going to evolve and change, and your body changes, and so many different circumstances change. Like when I'm pregnant, I don't know what I'm going to eat. I'm going to be intuitive and listen to my body.
Okay, but during my first trimester, I just wanted apples and peanut butter and fruit snacks. Is that healthy? No. And then during my third trimester, I just wanted fucking cereal. Is that healthy? Come on.
I will say that when I do eat meat, I make sure I buy from like grass-fed and finished, humanely raised, organic. Like I'm focusing on the right things.
It's definitely better, but let's not sugarcoat it. She's still supporting killing animals for her food. We see these undercover operations, these supposedly happy, humanely raised farms, and it's still shit. People are going to cut corners.
We're at this football game, and we're like in a suite, and so there's like a bunch of catering, and I'm thinking like, okay, I'm just going to eat when I get home because I don't want to eat meat in front of anyone. At that point, I was still like ashamed of it and embarrassed. Well, the game ended up going way longer than I thought, and I was getting hangry at this point. I don't know if you experience hangry, but I think it's a certain personality type, because I'll go from 0 to 100. Like, I don't know if my blood sugar drops, but I can't focus. Like, I need to eat. Everything else was either like breaded or grains or whatever, and the only thing was this steak. And I'm like, I can't eat a steak in front of people. Like, I was so anxious about it. I was so ashamed and like worried if anyone there would judge me, when in reality, I don't think anyone cares, but it's just the pressure we put on ourselves. So my boyfriend went and got the steak for me, would cut it into little pieces, and then secretly feed it to me when nobody was looking. And I just look back to this and I'm like, why? I don't know. It's too much pressure.
That is so sad. It reminds me, there's this channel where they interview psychopaths, people who have actually been diagnosed as psychopathic, and it's really, really interesting. And there was this woman who said she would watch things about like middle school, right? Anytime you see anything about middle school, it's hell, right? People are worried about what other people are thinking about them. They're worried about how they look, all of that. And she was just like I never had that. Like, that sounds like hell. Middle school was a blast for me. Like, I didn't give a shit what anyone else thought about me. I'm not psychopathic. I'm not on that level, but I have much less of an issue with what people think about me or expectations or anything like that. So I don't know, hearing something like that where it's to the point you're having your boyfriend feed you, it makes me so sad.
So I noticed my hair was getting thinner, and I never knew if it was like, did I lose weight or was I stressed? But as soon as I started adding in some animal protein, my hairdresser was like, first I wasn't telling anyone because I was really experimenting privately, and she's like, I don't know what you're doing, but your hair has never looked this good.
I can't tell a difference, but lighting and whatnot, who knows? And while I would love to say, well, wait, when you're at a lower weight, often that's one of the things that suffer first, right? Your body is going to protect the things that are important, and what's not important is your hair. But it doesn't look like she's gained any weight. She's still incredibly small. So who knows? I mean, it could be the fat. If I remember correctly, her what I ate her videos showing what she eats were quite low in fat. A vegan diet is not just a vegan diet, right? There are lots of different ways to eat a vegan diet. Veganism is an ethical position, and there are lots of different ways you can adopt that with your diet. Unfortunately, right? A lot of them are not healthy for you.
I do want to say it's extremely hard. My favorite thing to eat is like a big, raw, crunchy salad. I love fruit. I'm Persian. Like, I grew up eating a fruit plate every night. So it is difficult for me. And I'm excited to one day reincorporate a lot of these foods that I like. But right now, this is working for me. I'm definitely less bloated eating this way. My digestion feels better. I'm still not fully there yet.
You love to hear it, right? That she wants to start incorporating more plant-based stuff once she gets stuff settled, which is something I don't hear often when people talk about these issues and going on elimination diets. Like, it's supposed to be a short-term thing. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you can never have certain foods, right? But you're supposed to try and add foods back in. This is where I also get really aggravated about the anti-mock meat stuff, because man, if I were dealing with lots of bloating, eating what she was eating, again, going by her What I Ate Today's, where it was like all whole foods and lots of vegetables, cruciferous stuff even, right? The first thing I would do would be to cut back on that sort of stuff and to incorporate more mock meats, things that don't have a lot of fiber. But you're not supposed to do that because they're just the worst things possible for you. It's so stupid. Like, you're just encouraging people to go back to meat, because what other option do they have?
I have so many close friends who are fully vegan and thriving. Like, their hair is super thick. They've never had digestive issues. I don't think that it's a diet that doesn't work for everyone. And I still believe plant-based food is just so amazing and wonderful for you. But if you have a weak gut, it can be hard to digest.
Fair enough. It's one of the things that can make veganism really hard. If you have food allergies, multiple food allergies, if you have IBS, it can make it really difficult, if not impossible, for some people. Hopefully we will have nutritionists who are dedicated to helping people, be vegan or at least like plant-based with these conditions. I would love to see that.
How can we expect to be the same throughout our entire lives? So many factors can play into it. And maybe one day I will be vegan again. But I will say, I don't ever plan on labeling myself in terms of food, because it just puts you into this like box that's too much pressure.
I'm so glad I don't have that. I don't feel any pressure labeling myself vegan. I just don't. I wish I could give that to people. I wish I could, as my pediatrician says, I wish I could bottle my kids like genetic potential for good sleep. They're such good sleepers. I wish I could give that to people. And I would also give people the ability to not care so much about what other people think and not care so much about labels. It affects them so strongly. It sucks.
My current eating style is clean. I will say this is the one, I don't know if label, that I do plan on sticking with forever, because I don't think clean can ever be wrong. And I also think that it applies to like every type of food or diet.
This is what I'm talking about. She hasn't learned, I don't think, anything as far as this goes with bloating and whatnot, because clean can absolutely be wrong for someone who has certain conditions. Again, like IBS, they can eat a perfectly clean diet, but if it is too high in insoluble fiber, for instance, that could be very painful for them. So in that case, yeah, eating clean is wrong, and reducing that amount of fiber by eating more processed foods could significantly improve their symptoms. So yeah, this is again where this can really harm people, and particularly when it comes to veganism, because what's not clean is mock meats. So you can't consume any mock meats.
I was so focused on what's really bad for my gut, what's really good for it, like avoiding gums, avoiding natural flavors, avoiding soy lecithin. That was another thing that I was noticing, is when I was eating vegan, a lot of times I would go to these like the fake chicken or the fake burgers. And if you're eating a whole food plant-based diet where everything's like totally natural, that's also amazing. It's hard, but it's amazing. And even that I couldn't do because I had to eliminate nuts, seeds, legumes, and grains. So what am I really left with?
So did they affect her or not? Like, was she just told to avoid them, or were they? That's what I mean. Like, I don't know. It sounds like she was doing a lot of things at once. I'm not saying that to criticize her. I'm just saying that for anyone watching, if you're dealing with stuff like this, again, that is not what you're supposed to do. Unless you are cutting out a lot of different stuff. Again, working with a professional, cutting out a lot of different stuff, and then incorporating one thing at a time to see if that food triggers you or not. It's weird to hear that she was eating those foods, because again, going by her What I Ate Today's, she absolutely was not. She was eating very clean. I don't want to accuse people of lying, but never trust what people post in their What I Ate Today's. One person said, I'm the only one they trust because my food's always weird. Like, why would you post What I Ate Today's that I post if they weren't truthful? Like, just randomly eating like fruit snacks in the middle of the day. Like, I did that. Always assume that the person is showing you the best day, or what they think is the best day, and that their other days probably don't look like that.
It's mainly protein, a lot of fat, which that was even just crazy to me, because I used to think that my body didn't handle fat as well, and now I'm realizing that it really does help.
I'm sure it does help when you were on low fat for that long. Yeah, I'm sure her body is just so happy that she's eating fat now. Olive oil and avocado oil. How much do you want to bet seed oils are off the table? Organic pasture-raised ghee, which is just butter, coconut oil, and MCT oil. Yeah, so it's all the little buzzwords that go along with this kind of keto, paleo style of eating.
When it comes to fruit, I'm sticking to berries because they are like low glycemic, low FODMAP, and I'm stewing them because anything softer and warmer is going to be easier for your body to digest. So that's really what I'm sticking to.
Warmer? Is that like Ayurvedic shit? She said she tried low FODMAP before, implying that like it didn't work for her, but now she's still doing low FODMAP. That's what I mean. It sounds like she's just doing a lot of different things.
If you're currently feeling stuck in terms of wanting to transition out of plant-based or vegan and want to add in some animal protein, I do want to give advice on how to still keep it as clean and healthy as possible. If you are eating red meat, I'd highly suggest looking for grass-fed and finished. Grass-fed versus grain-fed is a huge difference in terms of how red meat affects you. And actually, the reason why for many years we thought red meat was so bad for you was because we weren't taking this into consideration. And the people who they were studying who ate a lot of red meat were also drinking a lot of alcohol and very sedentary, and it was grain-fed. And then when they started really looking at studies of grass-fed cows with a healthy lifestyle, it actually was really good for you.
Grass-fed is better, but it's really a myth that it's so much better. It has so many more vitamins, vitamin A and E, and so much more omega-3 and so much less saturated fat. No, these differences are not meaningful. So it is better for you than grain-fed, but it's not a health food. And the studies on saturated fat, it's not just because people were eating unhealthy along with that. It is very clear the link between saturated fat and LDL. Now, would it surprise me if someone eating a lot of saturated fat along with a lot of refined carbs and like no fruits and vegetables, yeah, they're probably going to be way worse off than someone eating a lot of saturated fat along with vegetables, right? Something like a paleo diet. It doesn't mean saturated fat is healthy. It just means you can probably mitigate some of those detrimental effects with other healthier foods with fiber and polyphenols. Pasture raised, it is better than, but at the end of the day, you're still commodifying animals, right? You're still supporting the death of cows and chickens. Not saying this to make her or anyone else feel bad. If it were me, I would not want to sugarcoat it for myself. because then you just end up, I think, not looking for alternatives, right? If you think what you're doing is perfectly fine and is just as ethical as what a vegan's doing, why would you even try to change it? Why would you want to support clean meat? Right? Why would you even think about offsetting or choosing oysters, right? If it's just the same as choosing the happy meat is just as good as what vegans are doing, why would you care? So the takeaway, as always, is be careful listening to YouTubers for health advice, including me. There's a good chance they're going to be doing something totally different in a few years from now. But I'd love to know your thoughts. What do you think about her diet? Are you more familiar with her content? Is there stuff that I missed that she had in other videos? Because again, I'm just going by the What I Ate Todays that I've watched and the food combining videos and some other things like her talking about candida and detox. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're having a nice December. I'm going to be working hard for the next couple of weeks or so and then taking a break for Christmas. So that's going to be nice. Thank you so much to my patrons, patreon.com/unnaturalvegan. And I will have a new video very soon.